jump on it up, but that too had made the Charles in the front much closer, erring on the side of caution. Still, the virtual safety car is not that slot in the Norris. Any position, my word, I thought they were heading off into the runoff area, the way the slowed locked up into that first corner. Obviously feeling a lot of pressure from Leclerc, who got a fantastic start alongside it. Charles side by side. You cannot be outfreight at that point. So we've done the tape as possible. Digging out the front tires up to the right temp, they both locked. And on a strategic race, that is a potential headache. Probably literally metaphorically. Yeah, no, absolutely. You're putting out an audience in the cockpit. When you get a slack stop on the front axle, it divides breach so much that your visibility can be affected. Okay, up 378, the virtual safety car remains deployed after Leto hit the barriers. Let's bring in our strategist, Bruce Buster. Thanks, Tracy, down in the pit. I mean, that's Sonoda, Gasly, Vernon, Watcher, that's all doing one of them under G2 and stop it strategically. Sonoda with the Red Bull, super interesting. That's on hard. He's going to go deep into the race. We'll see how this plays out, and if anyone does stop now for the virtual safety car conditions. Tell there for a while. This is exactly what the drivers who were out in place and once again their stops out of the way. One thing would happen. Following pass. You'll see that's Fernando Alonso going by. So those that have pitted once might as well pit again and Jubilee with their pit stops and try and go to the end with two with just time pit stops. Or tire wear. There's no reason why they can't do that. So this is his restart. Let's just see how long he's locked up for. Whatever lock up, whatever flat spot he has, he's going to go with it right now. Look at the Claire launched the wrong side. Started to back out. We can actually see the turn lock up from that angle. Yeah, I think it looked maybe more dramatic. It was certainly a double front lock up, but he did release the brakes pretty quickly, as you know. And feel close again, and it's up in the air. I was not sure was going to put it nose in. There's the lock up. Wow, it's a massive lock up. Actually, the firm does it justice. And then he's just trying to pump the brakes a little bit, and then release doesn't want to put it in the wall. This is going to be great to see the side-by-side. Look to the left, or watch with the handscreen. See the lock up front. It's giving a hit. Quick sport decision. You can tell this happened. Don Brighton didn't quite get his front wheels in front of the handscreen. It was more than Antonelli getting passed by Bortoletto, and he's beating the cutback. Any clever instinctive driver here. Well, actually, a bit of a leap to three, but those signing without a before. You have to do something right. It's similar to the moves that ended Español personality in this game. Virtual safety car is remaining. The drivers have to react to this immediately. You don't have to wait until the start-finish line. You have to wait for the green flag, and it's flying around the iconic turns upon a cove. You did watch the game, that dramatic opening meters. Lando Norris, that run down the turn one, he found himself under more pressure than he would have liked. The great Lord, the McLaren, he's a great car everywhere we go. The Ferrari having a great weekend, their best weekend in terms of pace of the season, because it has mechanical rhythm to get it off the corners, and that's why you saw Joe there all over the back of this part. It's worth saying that before the stops, and only counting down until he left it, you could take the opportunity to get another stop out of the way, and they did have that chum before the virtual safety car was withdrawn. You weren't notified that it was going to be withdrawn, so they carried on, and there is the gap, 22.4 seconds between Lando Norris and Yuki Tsunoda having switched to the hard tyre you must make through in this year's Monaco Grand Prix. Yeah, so that's not shared well in terms of Tsunoda's overall race. It's just the call, yes, being right by Leclerc, deploying the virtual safety car, it looks up. She's lost sometimes, but trying to actually do that, he just explained why sometimes you can end up getting slightly out of, like, losing some time on the virtual. That should neutralize the race. Even the rules following a laptop down through the steering wheel, you want to get as close to zero as you can, and as close to the furthest point ahead that you're allowed to be according to the rules. Sometimes you get ahead of it, and then you have to reduce your pace. I wonder if Charles momentarily, he was really close to the back of that. I don't think that it would slow down. Maybe after the perfect lap though to go, and it just sort of had a boomerang effect, and whilst Leclerc was going slow, Norris was going quick, and just after that restart went towards Lando, but yeah, lost it. It's about the undecided. So we'll see. And he's coming before the race, quickly when I was, as he mentioned, as we show you the gap through 30 seconds. the tire management, and there is absolute tragedy. Like, is it tactics from McLaren? They have two drivers in the top three. Norris has to make two stops, so does Piastri and everyone else in the field. In your Piastri is on a medium side. You stop pushing, just left it on a hard, you'll have an advantage later. Space at some point. I think Oscar knows at this stage they don't give me out to pass Charles on a red medium per second. So he's backing off. This one, Lando, and of course Charles, the top two on their mediums. Here, so it's all the pressure, and I think he's basically just trying to widen that gap. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Just looking at, and if there's no obvious problem, then he could only be banishment to push them back. He's already stuck right. Let's stick to that time to drop around this time around. It's a 1:19.1 thing Lando Norris, a 1:19.2 to Charles Leclerc, 1:19.7 to Oscar Piastri, a 1:9 now 3-second leader Max Verstappen. These are all Mahan tire. And Piastri is the championship leader. I mean, keep updating with the time throughout this one, because when a team deploys those slow tactics with the second car, you know the way to the strategic phase. But let me tell you, they're all doing go slow tactics, with the exception of Paul Leclerc, because it's just on the fastest after the race. You can pit, it's China. 5 seconds quicker than the race leader. 5 seconds quicker. That's the driver that's pushing. Everyone else cruising at this point. So it's just a game of chess for everyone else. And that's why there's the pitability. Wanting to do that, to get the pit stop out of the way. And Yuki Tsunoda was the person, and he's pulled back with that. Yeah, the leader will take some clear air. So the slowest drivers in the field. Then everyone's got to make those tyres last. If you're wondering, hold on a minute, this is Formula 1, what on earth is going on? Surely you should be going flat out. You've got to try and make your tyres last for as long as possible. In this year's Monaco Grand Prix, you've been the widest strategic window for when to make it. And you might wonder, why didn't everyone just pit and just start it? Well, the problem to Tsunoda is now, he is at the mercy of the next slowest car in the field. And if anyone else tries to drop back into space, Yuki's going to took the most of this now. He's lost his own track position to take a pit stop that now is strong, comes into, doesn't have the pace that they should, just back into Yuki. He is at their mercy. Another ball with Ginny Antonelli. And Honda. The 70s first Formula retirement in the last Grand Prix. And it's his first one to been the champion for nearly 50 years of age. He's chasing his dad, George Russell. And it's not exactly soaring on the wheel like it's qualifying out there off board, is it? Yeah, well, qualifying was 197 from 198. So we are doing ETFs right now. And part of that fuel, of course. And there's a team from there, but a whole bunch of it is management. Yep, you know, to take. Oldenburg forcing a little bit of defensive shake out of Carlos Sainz for them. And that is a good option. Gasly has gone past Tsunoda, but has that brought out the yellow flag? We've got a yellow flag. 59 of 78 in the Monaco Grand Prix. 100 better over the Williams. But what has happened? So Gasly is tumbling down the order here. And that is why Gasly was going potentially in very close contact with the other cars, has ripped your wheel off for the second time in his Formula 1 career at the Principality. He would have scored. He's trying to get it back, but he's out. Gee, that's what the bricks are at Monaco. So we'll wait to see exactly how that manifests. So obviously, he's done a good job. I think restriction would have been a little bit uncomfortable if you're crossing a lot of debris on the restraint. It's one might need a virtual safety car because there won't be debris since the contact, but Gasly coming back to the pitch and crucially not giving that second window. Oh, it's going to need some intervention there. That's the new down chicane. Yeah, there's going to be. And there's going to be a safety car. That was close. The Piastri really got around it. There is still no intervention. The race isn't neutralised at all. Piastri trying to avoid the debris. Super slow off the Neuville chicane. There's a front wing on the racetrack. I mean, normally expect the race to be neutralised, but we still have wave yellows out there. Green flag in the rest of the racetrack. Max Verstappen, he took advantage. And they've got it. Neutralised the race. That was meant to tiptoe around the exit of that chicane, so it was not to pick up the puncture. Verstappen was close again, hitting into turn one. Well, there's a big gap box in there too, and then Norris was going to see the square. But then he'll just come out of the chicane. No, so Yeah, they should have kept it over to the same over and recover that weight. But when you walk forward, you see what happens to honestly. Just to you Segura. Yeah, so you just sit over the rag. No brakes, no front left, race over. He's hit the brakes as he's gone over the crest and the bump, and then he's had a bit of a rear moment. And with the dirty air as well, he's gone into the back of Sonoda. He's almost into the path of his teammate on the exit. Well, they did that last year, and that would have been even more disastrous. The pit entry is closed for your information. This is on board with Gear Keeper. Got to be some damage to the meter of that Red Bull. It should get hit. That is strength. What it looked like from our barrier camera. Huge closing speeds there. And still loaded up. I don't think it's fully damage to the back of that Red Bull, but that is the end of the Alpine race of Theo Casmet. Now, it's an innocent mistake of the air. He's been shaping up the moves coming out of the tunnel. Hasn't gone for it, but as he's in the brakes, he's found that crest, found dirty air, and, I think they're just getting, so they get the shaft under the cyclistic code out. That is still like that. He shouldn't have driven that back to the pits. If you have a damage car like that, really, and according to the rules, he should be just parking it up and getting it off rather than a fumble back to the pits, potentially discarding. That's a carbon find that. He has, and he is coming out of the race with the amount that is going on there. We still have the yellow flag. There's been big opportunities of the racetrack. We can see it very clear on the track path where a Marshal's goal they recover. So let's have a look on more than there's any obvious debris. No, it looks like it's being cleared up by the marshals. There is the gap. The green flag is now out once again. Verstappen not happy with the shot from Piastri at the round on the code. That's always going to be the case. Taylor calling Palestine commentary position. First play on the exit of the swimming pool. And I wonder if Max might do something still on track. Veers smoothly over the back of the McLaren. He'll get DRS on the exit of this corner. He's lucky, obviously. Momentum enough for Piastri. Albi's far too late needs to be in the Grand Prix. McLaren had the great advantage. The two cars at the front compared to anyone else. Looks like they're playing a team game and thinking about the long race ahead. What you don't do is close the space once a driver is coming alongside on the straight. You can't acceptably put that driver in the barrier. And if that has to back off, then I think that will be another suggestion. If you look to it all the way through a replay, it was very close. Here is the replay. So Yellow's clearly been weird. He's backed off as the rules in the arena here. I'll be just about okay. I'll be just about okay. I don't think Max was alongside it. He's just behind. You try every trick in the boat, wouldn't you, to get someone at Monte the stewards to look into it, but I think that's okay. Yeah, also, the boat was early enough as well in anticipation of passing the green. So, it should one of the restrictions of this racetrack, and Max has brought back, having put a little bit of frustration into the runners of Piastri. Well, two in yellow, Red Bull is there to back off, and even on these slower average speeds of it, you're still offended by dirty air. No good to get over that, so it's not good then for your time. Side alert in the lead. Charlotte Clerc over the main 10 to the second. On the restart, dropping back once again. The turn 10 collision between Gasly and Tsunoda has been noticed. To get the hour in front, shuffled out of the way. Hulkenberg comes in for a fairly early pit stop, early by Monaco standards. At 13, the extra 8 on the vegan side. Puts on the hard, and that is stop 1 and 2 completed for the Salmon driver. Yeah, the front wing adjustment there as well, and a P6 checks with electric screwdriver if there's a say what the offset adjustment would be for those hard tires. Tight these together now. Move there, they move his miles into the back up and have super slow text now running together by Liam Lawson in 9th is 12 seconds up the car has dropped. He is going very slow. He is trying to help his teammate, what Hajar did, to get him a lower in the space to get some good points. Mawson is playing the team game, and those five on board with Vidani's helmet here. Yeah, right on the tail. That seems in ninth. Spent 60 laps, and then a car that qualified at the back of the grid in 2001 had just never found an opportunity to risk an overtake. Anything possible. You take care of every car that's owed them. Carl Pinto's coming to the pitch for Alpine. So many Alpine in the race archetype like Alpine. He's marked, got a new set of tyres. So Falkenberg has just genuinely dropped behind Mortaletto now, Amsterdam and Sonoda. Qualified 13th, so he's lost a lot of track position with that pit stop. He gets back ahead of Pinto. They're all trying to jump ahead of Liam Lawson. They're planned route behind Lawson. They were all just of the bone and thing to go at Lawson's pace. At Lawson's pace, he'll be jumped by everyone behind. He'll come to the back of the field. Racing Bulls all painted because Hajar is doing a nice job and Lawson's going to get a free pit stop. Now the thing is, the racing knows you absolutely to say your opportunity if you've got a chance as a midfield team to score a fifth place. We saw that from Esteban Ocon. He's only scored in 2 races this year. He had 5th place in China and 8th place in Bahrain. He hasn't scored in any of the others. And yet, he's in the top 10 of the Drivers' Championship in 9th place. Hajar comes in, trying to take advantage. So they're going to use that really cheap pit stop. They've got a set of softs. So, Hajar and Nielsen and Racing Bulls are playing the absolute game of sacrifice with Wilson to make sure Hajar gets as high up as he can. This is really clever from Racing Bulls. Hajar emerges in pits. That's fantastic.
Es un asesino magistral. Sé que puedo encontrarle. Me gusta ganar.
A mí también.
Just checking each other off at the moment. They're making sure that Matera can't blink because of the drop and lose track position. Matera doesn't want to do that likewise. So Racing Bulls here with Hajar have done that. Is anyone going to dive in around where Hajar was? Alonso, Hamilton, Ocon will now have a free pit stop as well. And that's going to put pressure on the top hill. This is what we were talking about when the McLarens and the Ferraris at the front, and we don't know where the threat's going to be. Right now the threat is Hajar. What a sentence that is. Let's check in with our strategist for his Buscombe for an update on how things are looking with the Racing Bulls. The Racing Bulls team fans, they've done that today. They did 37 laps at Microsoft, driving very, very slowly a few years ago to do the exact same team trick. I would now expect, although I think we're seeing it in real time, Hunter has pulled together about 5 seconds out faster than anybody else to rapidly close up that gap, and I believe they will try and do the exact same trick again, so that Hajar does his final stop onto a hard tire. Great team tactics there. Carrera doing a similar thing, but much less strong at the front with Oscar, and it isn't easy to back up cars here. So let's see if I like hers. Okay, so this is basically a kick up this area. Get on with him, because you don't need to make up a big gap to get Agile 2 seconds away. Alonso's into the pits, immediately responding. Oh god, this is it. It's going to have to hold the car there as the Frenchman makes his part. So Lawson's effectively a teammate for these guys today as well. Yeah, Dawson playing the team game as Hajar draws past Fernando Alonso, so they try to respond, but Alonso will drop behind the Frenchman. They made that stop. And now it's interesting at the front because they cannot now go slowly because all of these guys have made that distance. Them just going back. So now they need to make sure they're matching them to pace so that when they pit, they have the gap and they can stay ahead of Hajar. Yeah, exactly what you were saying there. Bill Andrew just complete air for Hamilton ahead up to the stat and gap 6 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see as Hamilton does her personal best. per sector, just matching really what we saw with Norris Leclerc and Verstappen. So the start even of lap times are Norris 14.6, fastest lap of the race. Continue on with the frame and Alex Albon, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, basically everyone. They're picked in the race, we lose together. Back time in his TA Gasly so far. You've got the tick stop count on the left-hand side of your screen as he stands at the Norris on it. Most of the lines. That touches the nerve. It did, but just have to bring the outside in a certain way, and of course it's gone. Phil Judge took back 2 seconds in front of him. Without the free air that he wants to say, the frustration for, and yeah, so the frustration there for Alonso is that he wanted Hamilton's strategy, trying to go longer than that, Jared, overcooked it. Instead, they've taken the cheap bed stop, but that has dropped it back behind Hadjar, whilst Hamilton can do the overdraft on both of them. He gets up drivers consulted for extremely length of time. We heard it with the parent last year. Charles Leclerc demands a consultation on every strategic decision. They're just dishing out the instructions out and last time, and Monza might not want it. It's like 19 to 78. The best thing is the Monaco Grand Prix white in the balance all the way through the field. And then comes Hamilton. He can jump Hadjar here. He's done a really quick lap. But what the 14.9 was Hadjar was on a 71. It's a good stop for Ferrari. At this point now, make Hamilton the friend to the top 4. He was one that's been raised for Ferrari in Shanghai. First Grand Prix podium with the team. Racetrack that has won 3 times before. Back out crucially with track position. That's what he was looking for. Chief Hitman in the white line. He did so, and Hamilton is ahead of Hadjar. Hence, Alonso's frustration. That is what he wanted. That dies, pit stop, clear space, and off he goes. Hamilton is now up in 5th, the leader of the drivers that have made it stop. It's not free air again to use the pace of the Ferrari that's very quick to go and chase those ahead. McLaren coming out with the lead, Ferrari just doing the edge of this beautiful thing to pull their ear guns out of the way. So it's Jason briefly. I don't know if we just said that he could be trying to fit his first Monaco Grand Prix today. His second Grand Prix of the season. Pretty efficient from a trap 2.7 seconds. They would take that all the table on this Norris phrase back up. Then the slow lane to the fast lane and back into the Monaco Grand Prix with clear air ahead on Lewis Hamilton, and crucially, actually now lap to come. Yep, this is going to be a big push. But while you were explaining all that, after the issue of faces being tooled by Julian Palmer here as he tries to figure out a decision by McLaren right now. Well, they're trying to cook her off. Leclerc for a potentially electric. 3 seconds. It is going like this still. So we'll see what Lando can do. Lando's not going to put it down. And Charles already made another pit stop. And he needs to get that second and final one out of the way. He'll stay ahead of Russell. Hadjar having a party around the streets of Monaco at the moment. It should not have worked out better, but when you can't play 5th as a rookie in the Principality and your teammate is behind, designed into base team, and played that one to perfection. They have pulled up the strategy there's so many we're talking about. Right, it sucks to be the implicit in this situation. Happens to the information fish with everything you've got when you're in like a full stop. They've been now what McLaren wanted, 3.8 is slowed by Formula 1 standards. Through goes Lando Norris, and if they were trying to overtake Leclerc, that was not the stop they needed to achieve it. No, so now they can see it. Both pace Leclerc has, and the stop. Yeah, she did the under pressure with that slow stop. Leclerc just on his curve to the best lap in the race, and Florian, there were all sorts of places going on when Lando pitted to pace up. That's why they're trying to use Piastri to make Leclerc take a pit stop so he doesn't overcut Norris. McLaren, by shifting Lando out of the way, have unleashed Leclerc, and Charles can just hammer it now just by the rest of the time. So they drew up and get a couple of stabs at him. Dots in his gun didn't go off the way he wanted, so that's a second 1.7 seconds at least gone. The good thing with this, we thought about it how where it was going to All of the top, Verstappen and Norris, the Astrid, all on a post for different reasons. Because this is where they've all got clear air now. Not that you've overtaken, track them on switch, probably in the race, but sadly at this stage, they're always going to get on from ever since refueling has been banned. The difficulty of overtaking around here, where you have to be at least 3.5 seconds faster per lap on the car in front. Have a viable opportunity to use the DRS to get into turn one, or maybe the run out of the tunnel back down to the New Bell chicane. You need to have that enormous speed advantage compared to the wide car in front. And it's made it a one-stop race. They introduced this new rule, which has plenty more to talk about. One retirement with Gasly hitting the back of Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda coming in the lead for a stop now, running the remainder of the race off tyres, and less team games so far played by race Dinkles, who have managed to get his 2 stops. He is complete in terms of his picks for the rest of the Grand Prix. And now a crucial moment for Charles Leclerc, trying to claim his second home win on the streets he measured lap in for home races and home races. He looked like he lost a tough fight yesterday. He was speaking with earlier. He was unrelated to the and he just hadn't gone tight position. Couldn't be sure. In comes Charles Leclerc. What was the in-lap like? Did he have enough pace? Can McLaren achieve their objective of launching Piastri past him? Or is Leclerc with a 2-second stop and Ferrari have been the fastest on average in the pit lane all year long? Can Leclerc get there ahead of Leclerc? The answer's no for Forks. What about Piastri? Oh, Prestige, Charles Leclerc emerged out, and the attempt to undercut the Ferrari has failed. It is as it were for the net race lead. Norris has track position over. Did those he thought was about to catch a couple of backmarkers there, he would have lost time. Whilst Piastri is clambering in the fastest lap of the race, and they had to pit on that lap. The Pirates plan kind of weren't to preserve the lead with Lando. So now we pass the baton off. Are we going to go quick? Solely to Max out front. Now the race. Norris, Leclerc and Piastri. We put the run with taps of time. He stopped really lighting up the street. 52 last time around. Talented or Gilly Shine on a 38. Maybe they're just altering for something very different to happen again later in the race. Another safety car, virtual safety car. Safety car will bring Max into play with certainly with Oscar on his goal. I think Norris 10 seconds to be ahead of him, and that's what they'll now hope on a circuit where it's technically possible. Well, we can easily see that Lawson's not going to play the ultimate team player and put it in the wall of the convenient height. Color race many years ago. I think I'm definitely sure about that one. Here's Oscar. From the McLaren, then it was an outlet to tell Oscar that they're using it to try and get Ferrari pissed up to cover him on. Yeah, trying to win the race with Norris, and they've got 1 of 2 pit stops. It is up to the jeopardy today. On track passes, very unlikely. But 1 of 2 pit stops is done, and Norris still leads. Yeah, for just after, by the way, so that's here. Yeah, so that's thing. Still times also didn't. You can get it. You absolutely get it. The only thing they would have changed if McLaren knew of how did he win this race would have been if Oscar had out-launched Charles out into the first corner, and he didn't. Thereafter, it's about, right, how do they manage it to be stability? And Lando is the lead car. And I think that was always going to be the way with especially the new strategy rule for this race, the mandate to stop. I was going to say, it's something also that have to go slow and they see is to make them twice ahead of him. He is playing the ultimate team game. Now he's able to drive his own race at his pace, and he's actually going to catch up at the moment. But he's going to make 2 stops still, and some of those further monkeys have already made that decision. He's going to drop down the orbit. One driver who hasn't stopped yet is our race leader and reigning world champion, Max Verstappen, still has to visit the pits on 2 occasions. Reese Duskin, what do you make of the Red Bull strategy? I love it. Starting on hard, he now has clean air. If he gets another 3.5 seconds to Lando and Norris, he then has the safety car gap. And potentially that will put him in contention for the win. He's coming up with the back marker traffic through, which you have blue flags. It will all come so. That's an encouragement of look, we are not here to just follow them. Nice, you've seen game, isn't it? Yeah, no, yeah, you need a calendar type that. You can teach your... You can see if you gap down to 23.6. And this is exactly what I mentioned why others didn't fail lap 1. There's Yuki Tsunoda behind the two Mercedes. He is a pit stop ahead of the Mercedes, but he's got to try and pass these guys, and there's just 3 stops happening further ahead, and Tsunoda just walked on now with more and more cars. That is at the top left of your screen. Is that in the Drivers' Championship coming into this race over 124 points? Might just happen a 2-time Monaco Grand Prix winner. I've seen that gap with more than 10 seconds to lap, and I'm down to 7 seconds. And that chance of getting the car in what they call the safety car window on the gas has disappeared, and so Verstappen now has to take his way past cars that will be mandated to get out of the way. He's probably got 1 or 2 more laps, and then he has to cover up Hamilton. So he gets on the safety car for another lap or 2, and then he's got to fan out to this first round of pit stops to just make sure he doesn't go to pit. Yeah, you're gambling, but may have to. 28, 78, Verstappen continuing on, thinking he's waiting. It would be the shade of blue flag for those drivers ahead, who then have to move out of the way. You show them 4 times, and you get a penalty for not getting out of the way of the leader. Strange circumstance of Mercedes, really tough qualifying yesterday, man. Now they hit the barriers of the new Dutch game. That's this one there. And George Russell struck a thump on the way up to Beau Rivage, and he switched the car off, which meant that he missed out on Q3 for the first time of the season at the one circuit where you just do not want that to happen. Russell so far, good campaign to him, but it's going to be a run of tough races for Russell. 7th last time out in Imola, and he's struggling to get his name into contention for the top 10 here, as we have Alexis Verstappen coming in to the pit to maybe stop this, reacting to the fact that Hamilton was getting close to that pit stop window, and you had to react in time. He had an advantage of 21 seconds over Lewis Hamilton when he came in to the pit. Lando Norris retakes the race lead. Yeah, that traffic definitely cost a bit of time. We could call it, Talento there, as traffic was just gone through. But Verstappen was about in front of Hamilton. Races worked out well for Hamilton so far, isn't it? Stone is 7th. Thorson was good yesterday. Picked a penalty for impeding Verstappen at this point on the circuit. And now he's coming right with him. Strategy of Lawson and Hatchell fading, Hatchell batting gets the pits and Alonso and Ocon is opening it up for him. And so now has a free pit stop, but Young that only did once again to do something in the second round. It's the view.
Estoy dentro.
There is such a thing as an embarrassing overtake, as you're embarrassed that you overtaken them. So that's a tactic that Haas are using to use the blue flag, having to let the leaders through and then trying to take advantage of it, discussing it on the radio. Lando Norris and all the energy of the man who's been waiting on the phone. It's just to speak to someone there. He is in position for one of the best days in motor racing, that he's got to get through the lack of traffic. That is the issue that he's working with at the moment. That round of stunts have gone perfectly for McLaren and Lando Norris, and now the Aston Martin gets the blue flag. Horst Behrman in the background trying to take advantage of the lower this Stroll to get out of the way. He's doing it again. He has to be very brave to save the one into the back and do a bunter. Yeah, just going a little free kick into that corner. And it's good stuff. I didn't do the Steve Still. Oh, went over the top of the curb, and seems sort of a sense of this loss there. As the attempts to Berman. You can imagine the stroll here. They've got all the leaders to come through. That's just the first one, and they cost Norris a second and more of his advantage to Leclerc. But every time Stroll hits a blue flag, he's got a thing running. Where is the attack going to be for Berman this time? It's pretty intense. He's going to look like on board heading to the rash gas. Resist him holding over the curb. That's him. The oversteer, hoops and curves. And as having almost rebooted the car, he was so stunned. Well, I think he went into neutral. Did he actually hit? Or was that into neutral? I think it was a false neutral. The car bounced so impressively. So that's the second thing I think is fair to jump that it took all duties. They had a full charge at go again. So they probably catch Charlie again very quickly. Two spins there and they'll go again. Every moment. In middle time, part of the race, and we have Norris ahead of Leclerc at the F3, the stamp, and all in the same positions where they started the race. Hamilton is up 2 when Perez started. Angelo is down 2 positions, but they didn't start still on the rest of the points. The Maverick also Albon and hopped on, who was also made and closed his stops. Maybe Sandy gets down to racing balls. Perhaps I think we'll after this one. That's pretty close to really getting out of the way. We're the race leader. Well, if any fear of Sainz, he could have got away with doing on this. Somebody sat in and saw we all. What is it? Just a blue flag? So it's just fixed. It's a melee. It's a melee for the class because Sainz is backing everyone else. They are going incredibly slowly. 9 seconds a lap slower than cars trying to get a sensible speed. 7 seconds off always the fastest lap in the race so far. So when you're in Leclerc and you're trying to go through all of these cars, trying to see how slow that they can go behind Sainz trying to make the gap. This is frustrating to Charles and McCann. They hit them in the raw because Sainz is backing them all up. 2 drivers who've made those stops, 1 stop but 2 stops at the moment. Jarako, Berman, Bulleto and Colapinto have done all of the hard work so far. There's Lando Norris heading into the back corner, and so then he gets out of the way and Charles Leclerc, who was under speed on the radio a few moments ago. Albon moves up to a position because Liam Lawson is coming in to make his first pit stop. So Norris had the same on the last couple of laps. The gap came down and now it's ballooning up again. And then it's speed. Well, that's going to be bad news for Norris. That's a look at Pierre Gasly down there watching with the rest of us after he's crashed into the back of Yuki Tsunoda. Oscar Piastri not happy with his strategy, talking to the team. Very much a manual gearbox back then. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually driven a simulation of an 1972 Grand Prix car. He might have driven a 1972 Grand Prix car outright. Rather Lotus 72. Yeah, that's part of a promotion thing with Lotus in 2015. Certainly had a son. Pretty cool experience. I wouldn't want those gear shifts and then under brakes or anything on this circuit. They had to do it back in the day. Race won by DLRM and Jean-Pierre Beltois back in 1960. We'll check out the big breed of red. I've read out. Then comes Alex Albon to make his stop, and he's had to pull over a long while in this race at restricted speed. He was the driver directly behind Liam Lawson, 2.4 seconds. His race reanimates from here on in now. As he exits the pit lane. And we did hear earlier on Oscar Piastri not happy with his strategy. Bruce Buscombe gives an idea what he made of what McLaren did. If they're trying to win the race, potentially Buster is more of a teammate than direct correct. Right now, believe the love play that McLaren can do is use Oscar to go in to undercut. Now, Charles only has a medium left. McLaren have a car. They're using Oscar, as they said they would do on the grid, to try to ensure that placement at the front, playing the team game out, just like the V cards, the Hatches, and the Williams further back in the field. Thank you, Reed. In a lot more to all the structures to do this year than in previous months, as the drivers running through the spike pace, in all the pressure, you're signing all the ones to George Russell. Still get to visit the decks. A chasing day, or Mercedes. That job is just big. I'm very happy the team picked up work. We thought they had a shot. Coyle, George Russell, Johnson contending to the test. Really, Motor Casino on the podium this year, just getting out of the way, having Thursday. And also the blue flags as to the regulations. The 4 off distance. Yeah, I'm just looking at that before half distance. Sure, it has done the double solve, and where the running gradual Wolfcon only separated by 6 seconds. So I want to, if this normal running the race piece to the end, watch as we lose out to them, fall behind them. Everyone from Hamilton up, it'll be their own race and their own strategy to play, but start 5B for Stephen Alton if they end up coming away with those points. So many for his cost. He's only scored twice. Oh yeah, don't know how I would tell Fernando that he's just been jumped by Esteban Ocon as well in this race. Probably wouldn't. If he stood how he reacted earlier, instead of just tell him it's bad, but he'll get blue flags in it for him. The psychology of the drivers. The driver, happy driver, but choose driver. It's like the Mr. Manus too. No, that man, sorry, it would be Mr. Oh, there was the block. I'll let you say that. We all know he's going to see him down in the paddock like that too. But it's true. What massively fast racing driver to do? They're like a bird too. Yeah, he won the race in 2002. He won the race in 2003. He's played with some lesson on time with all the motive had it all in the Formula 2 race, which was pretty dramatic stuff at the start. But well, Zinedine Zidane, let's think about winning gold in sporting trophies. I'll do enough for France, looking gold. One of so many celebs. Yeah. Which has always been the case for Monaco Grand Prix. Syria with the years. Amazing content. It's been every Greek year. Comprehensive coverage in recent years, show you more angles and had the helicopter around his mouth and raving to show you shots like this as if by magic. Yeah, you thought the drone shot there showing you the entrance into Casino Square. Yep, Casino sort of mastered your picture, then Verifone corners, get a few controversial incidents there in the past in the iconic hairpin. Originally, Cooper Station hairpin, they plopped a hotel there, Cooper Station Brazil. And iconic tour is still one that's been visited just the very first championship year, 1950. And it has been a classic ever since, as Hamilton gets tossed. Selma, that is and Norris that down street win the fast battle, point the fast back anymore because they covered that at the start of the year. And then Hamilton 25 seconds away from the race lead of Lando Norris. This is part of racing the Monaco when the George Russell is stealing at the gearbox. He probably memorized the suspension geometry about how he's running too close to him. And Albon just managing his own race pace. We're not all impacted at the moment. The top 3 on the car tires as it stands. And in comes Gabriel Gordon Letton. Again, China, he was in the barriers at the start of this race. Thought he was out, but he was able to get the car clear. This is third visit to this. It's a 3-stuffer. People have been talking about the team now. Winning strategy, but shit. Old Brenner House there by that incident at the beginning of the Grand Prix. Yes, if you want them to start on both sides, Russell. What are they looking for? They're looking for some major incidents later in the race. Well, not so major as it goes right, but just some strategic advantage to go into entrance to them. I mean, I don't see how any of these can happen for those guys. Sainz has done a good team job for Alden. He's also paid back Mawson, his second at pit stop, and with Sainz dropping back, looks like Mawson's going to score some points for racing Bulls as well. So the top 10. It's basically the top 10. No, unless there's a crash, some level of reliability concern or anything else, because they've transitioned so behind. They're all different top. There's Hamilton there is just ahead of them, maybe racing in the traffic. So when you're George Russell here, you're sitting behind and wind is going slow. It's up to the Lando Alonso. With Smoke out of the back of the car, and he's pumped it up. Nebraska, his Monaco Grand Prix, which looks set to reward him with his first points finish of the year. You're in at 38. Well, he said in the last race he's the most unlucky driver, which is always a big sort of, being a bit optimistic as to how he will be in his career, two-time world champion, of course. But sadly, here he can claim to be unlucky. And buy into him with that one. I mean, he's scored no points this year. He's had something good weekend. Started sick. His skip out to Bolton is finally clear on the grid. Remember, last week started fifth. This is an incredible performance. Again, bad luck strikes at ultimate cease. Timothy in 10th positions. Every now those cars are going fast. That's the gap he had to 11th. And the English Ferrari getting ready for Hamilton, and it never was gone fast. So pace-wise, Hamilton's been 9 on that lap. Verstappen 8, and of course he is 6. Just in case the VSC was good. This is now the window where you get the cheap pit stop. Hamilton would potentially have a bit of pressure to put on those ahead. And Leclerc potentially comes into the race pace. He sits under a VSC and Norris can't. So you have to be ready for it. I think Norris would have not been a very sensible place there, Nebraska. So just wanted to give themselves a bit more to play with should they have an issue. Should they get unlucky with the safety car just going past there? Opportunity to check. That's the thing. There's never a good time for a virtual for a safety car. It's you've just gone past the end of the pit lane. Yeah, so I think there's a little bit more away from full left. We went down when they saw Rory coming out. Anthony is either with a second lead. So they had that way from full, and now Norris can run still happy to give them a safety car as well. One thing we have seen with the Ferrari so far this year was their strongest race weekend of the season so far is that their race pace is excellent. Because their qualifying pace has let them down throughout the season. But their race pace has been strong so far this year. You might probably get even they expected and not having to compromise the setup over time. Only one time in quarter. They're able to replace speed, still not suited to Ferrari and the mechanical grip that they've always had throughout the last 5 years. We're just looking across as Alonso walks down the top of the pit lane. Helmet's still on, which is international racing driver. Signal for I'm not selfie to anybody. Get down, visibly disappointed, of course. The 4 drivers of the grid haven't scored a point this year. Cal Fernando is quite it is a very unlucky tale actually this season. He's had the liability work already this year in China. He had the crash in Melbourne. He's had a fundamentally quite slow car, and another strategy in Imola as and today it just looked like a total guarantee. And then the car failed from the weekend, so he is going to be missed. One of the other drivers who hasn't scored a point here is Tim Wilson, who is looking like he's going to be heading that way, having made his 2 stops. It's still a long time to go. It's one of the longest races here, shortest distance, but one of the longest in time as same is from Premio. Indeed, listen to late 50s of the race leaders. It must be just concentration unit cruising, or it must be really difficult to drive that. Yeah, I mean, he's just going to keep his eyes on the mirrors, and then it's about tucking off in the corners where you can't be passed, and then going quickly in the corners where you might be passed, and that's what's frustrating. You deliver daylight out at George Russell, but you know that if you send it, you have to roughly send it, because if they do, that will front wing, risk a dive, try to wait for him to fit to lap 50 something, and then managed to take some air, make some pace, some very good points. The adrenaline of that moment, like instead of getting behind, you're thinking, isn't it going to get the La Pass in Monaco? The game in it too, and make a stop, out the KDM, make a stop as well. That's how I punched the 9 and Mods has been. Well, not scoring a point in good one. Start of the season, looking well on there. Yes, better than talent, unbelievable. the white team at the wrong time. What a story for McLaren 10 years on. The reigning Constructors champions at 1 and 3 in this race. It was really helped the team today. Manager up the T6, which would be, have understandably, Pajar's best result in the Grand Prix to join the championship. In fact, when it all started so badly with that spill, the formation that is now the how he comes back and shows great pace of the race. You can see this picture. Must be a risk to get him in rust. It's going any of the cars in, and it's that 43. I think there's a flash to apply to this. But I was starting to wonder why they wouldn't have brought at least one of the cars in to get a stop for me. I think it's because the cars are running together. If they can, so it's pits now. They become 10 and 11, and then Tonetti will do the signs for the Lawson and get Russell. They have to run together, and then they'll finish where the highest driver is. So at the moment, Russell will get a point out of this because Sainz has the lead. Then Antonelli will just back up the pack. So they're just going to go until they win the race, basically. As far as I can see, and it's going to be Sainz or Russell.
Hola, soy Antonio Lobato. ¿Quieres saber cuánto vale tu coche? Visita compramostucoche.es. Introduce los datos y recibe tu oferta rápidamente, como una parada en boxes. Yo te lo recomiendo. Consigue tu oferta ahora en compramostucoche.es.
The new ring for this year, Lennon Norris is told for more pace that he can provide it, and Captain's remained static as Albon gets out of the way of Garner Sainz, and now Albon is going to return the favour of the Sainz and do a bog down the road. Okay, Willem, really this is strategy. Really difficult to do the winning weeds. If he got that switch slightly wrong, he could have found a Mercedes coming through as we walk forward with a big to the barrier for the car reserve position. That's a great reminder that nothing is ever certain around Montecarlo. Oscar Piastri with a time to that stand-up. Okay, so lastly, what we wanted from Monaco was a race where the front runners have to push. We aren't getting that. We're not seeing it because there's tons of cars on the track. But Norris, Leclerc, Piastri, Verstappen, they're all pushing, which is why Hamilton is nearly a pit stop away from Verstappen now. He's just been dropped on pace by the top four. He did it earlier, he used the time. He doesn't have the pace to stick with four drivers out front that are pushing. And that's why Piastri clicked the barrier, because he is happy to push. Just try and put pressure on Leclerc, but also try and get Verstappen away from him, because Max is close. And pull it, yeah, pressurize Oscar. In the points, Russell is being swept through the ringer here after his car came to a halt. No fault of his own yesterday. His first failure to reach Q3 of the season at the worst possible time. See, reason you were doing it, buddy. I should have worked that, but just a shirt out to our race. Steps in it, than anyone else. With that, I told you too. Leading the Grand Prix, really in pole position yesterday, but I was seeing him, but he's managing this Saturday. That gap's at 6.2. That look from Toto is everything for Mercedes. Yeah, whilst the camera, what is going on? Their drivers are still in this position. The only reason they're still not this is stable to the same. So they could be frustrated at Williams and the Racing Fools, that they are trying to do exactly the same thing, and that's what this strategy was always destined to do. Drivers back off to for free pit stops, and now they're just going to open someone else who falls a bit of bad luck or a mistake, and then they'll be in that position for Antonelli to back off and give Russell a pit stop. And Brian, I think Tsunoda pitting on lap 1 was a little bit short-sighted, because he started 12th. He might have been somewhere with these guys, but when you saw back, you just open yourself up to being completely exploited with the technicalities of the two-stop race. Yeah, the hope solution came in early that you could get one stop out of the way. Maybe we get a safety car and a red flag. If it's a red flag, it's an entirely free tyre change. Like we saw last year, which really prevented things when we had that red flag at the start of the race, thirdly for strategy after a big crash. Three cars, including this man, Nico Hulkenberg, back into the bench to your double top tires. To be honest, if Piastri is second off at lap 1, this happening to the blitz, yeah, which is not great enough either, is it? The Lando down 2 could nick them, and then they just actually cruise it, and the car stays together. He could then return the favour as Williams are doing, and this really does mix up the race a little bit. Yeah, the order is shuffled around, but then the strategist and drivers have to blur things out. Then because you have fit twice, you've 3 different tyres. You will open it up for anyone that has teammates together to just back off and guarantee the position, basically. I think you see that as obviously as we've had it played out here. I mean, you do have that with a much less, I guess, as well. With his no leader, I think it's more highlighted because of the 40 seconds of 2 pit stops is a little bit more like someone's walked to side goes to the pits on a racetrack where track position is key. But just look at this. This is all just behind our helmet. Lando's going to be coming round to put a still Albon running in the next teams, even more than what Sainz was doing, giving him the opportunity to fill that gap to change sectors. So hope deeply did this. Give him another 10, at least. So Norris has left everyone, including Hadjar. Up to 6th place is lapped. He's about to put 2 laps on everyone up to Albon in the points, which shows how much the Williams guys are slowing up, how much Wilson slowed up as well. It's a short lap, and the field spread naturally is quite big, so it is one of those ones where you can be back a couple of times through the pack. But we're only 30 laps to go. It's not a sure sense of the race, and obviously when you are a lap there or 2 laps down, you're no point to use anywhere near as much fuel levels. So you really give it a tremendous. Yeah, but it's George using anything to try and see if he get information from the race director, but there is nothing preventing you not driving dangerously. To see Pet sheet, yeah, it's gonna wait and reiterate this to everyone. This is unpoliceable, basically, because you cannot get intervention. There's nothing in the race director's notes, and the race director had the option to put something in there saying, if I think you're driving too slowly, I can intervene. Chose not to. Piastri into place. Gets back out 2.3 seconds. McLaren getting a better stop this time around. The Australian driver who remains our championship leader, and even if he finishes in 3rd position and Norris wins, we will remain the championship leader. And they needed it because the start really just moved within 2 seconds. And this is the fight for the podium now, isn't it? Much needed good pit stop. The reason they get it is because Hamilton there was just outside of Verstappen's window. So Verstappen should have gone for another up on that lap. Get back to the car straight away. That's the base of the first sector. Is that Russell electing Albon through? Did he have it going with the chicane and can't it potentially then? It is something every time. However, we don't have a safe car with it. Keeping the driver informed, keeping him motivated, and yeah, so I guess that much to be the case as we see Norris leading it to the lap very comfortably. Charles Leclerc comes in, 2.2 seconds, he's only finished on the podium on 1 occasion so far, that was his win last year, and he comes in for his 2nd stop. Looked more than 2.2, didn't he? The lead, yes, I think it did. But either way, let's see whether he can get his track position. In terms of the runners just generally, and he does so, he doesn't have to go through the path of the blue flag. And so he makes his 2nd stop, and Lando Norris have been told to give it everything. So he stays on lap man at Hadjar. Look, continuing a potential 2nd place with them by covering off the Piastri, making sure there's absolutely no threat of that. And now, he did that as Norris was coming through the traffic, so that's why he's at 100% pace. Russell past Alexander. Schumacher Russell has got past Alexander. Albon is in 10th position, and out front, it is time for a crucial pit stop in the destiny of the largest trophy today. Lando Norris trying to win his 1st ever Monaco Grand Prix and second race of the season. Comes in, he's spoken to the mechanics who practice collision all the time, and it's 2.2 seconds. Lando Norris, who is back into the lane, back into the race, and he will be ticking the laps off now as we see him lives through, and Verstappen takes the lead all circuit with a stop to make. Russell's time was deleted at the chicane and at the track limits. Yeah, to keep it straight over the chicane. We joined that shot pretty late. And I think the idea is that they're going, well, we're going to take the time penalty. But it's the normal time penalty that would be applied. I think 10 seconds, that was brought in the last year for leaving the track and getting in advance. But I think he did that a lap before when we joined in on the nose cameras as he was giving them place back to Albon. And then he's made it through at some other point. He's going to take a slight courtesy. Yeah, could be. Don't want to. I think it is less. Yes, yes. So yeah, this made the pass then by basically just going, okay, I can't ride this all anymore. That's iconic. I'm going to take a penalty now. Some fun. Oh, cynical. Don't like it. Don't like it. I can imagine the narrative we're going to get afterwards that is cynical to back a driver out. And so, like the penalty was bandaged in the rear. I can already hear what he's going to say onto the Grand Prix. You know, it's tactical to back a driver up. It's not against the rules. A deliberate foul left is against the rules. Let's have a note. This is George Russell. The Williams is ahead. So is the Newdale chicane. I think chooses to try getting alongside. That was lap 49. We'll take on to lap 50. Driving around the green. Yeah, so Russell's going to warn you the backing up is dangerous driving. He's avoided. And over to you, seeing the top three drivers. You know, he's quite. We do what we do on the basis of trust. There's an assumption that if you're on the street, a driver is going to be sat out and you will get yourself right all within tiny margins. Totally get the joy of saying this is tactical, it's not against the rules. But we don't see this that often that we ever have to get into it. I remember way back the old trying to back everyone up in Suzuka. Yeah, it was his only chance to win the championship. And I didn't really like the concept of driving still in a Grand Prix car. And I don't like cutting a corner to make an overtake even less. Because I usually puncture the tires. We don't have a joke collapse in Formula 1. And that's a joke collapse for George Russell. And I think he's better laughing, stuck with the rules. There's a little John Worthing high marks that you ever take advantage. They decide to keep going. You know, on a 10 second, George Russell, it's a drive-through. That is a heady penalty, which will be 20 seconds all his race time. It's under frustration, and I think you're in a Mercedes. See that out of just frustration, but it's not the right thing to do. I kind of want him to do with the Open if that was a small penalty. It would be lovely. We've got the same thing again. So the second Mercedes has done it. Little right any further back at Thompson. You know, he goes by as well, and so there could be two drive-throughs, and the Mercedes had to wait for a long time. These are 8 drivers. In fact, I mean, that's does do the race back. Two drive-throughs at Mercedes. Actually, so what I would say, gentlemen, is this is everything, the design, the build, the delivery, the race strategy, it's all the basis of data. Unless you're a good look at whether a driver is particularly freaking out, different. You cannot, in all the brake lights, you shouldn't judge. You're not leaving the sort of white lines that you have in motorways telling you to leave to your college. That was a very, very tense to get into. I don't think that was a sort of Georgian, he just easily trying to play the system. I think that's really genuinely really hit him. This is Verstappen is the race leader, he's trying to lap his way through. It is choose your own adventure down at the new chicane at the moment. Choose any line you like. You haven't seen that so many of the modern tracks with riders. The Montecarlo, Eclave, these one attempt, gain a little bit of time. It's lovely there to resort to something now. I don't love the tactics of what's going on. I'm like, out of the way, it's a lap move, lost y'all eventually. who's always starts these weekends making contact with Charles Leclerc. Didn't quite know where the Ferrari was, and there was a move with the blue flag waving. Well, it was a very close line to brother and they drew it through the penalty with the net. Yeah, look, he is very frustrated, disappointed. They're going to be the subject of the next drivers briefing and the subject, the next GP meeting. With a bunch of dollars, the unpredictable drinking is a feature. Yeah, if that's what he was doing. Yeah, it's certainly what George's arguing. But there's this mate, Alex Albert, George Russell, fixed late, so they're arguing that against each other. I think he'll be making Alan G. Then or next time they go out as best mates, and I don't think his fan. I feel like it's frustrating with George, particularly laps sitting behind the Williams. He will be able to go deliberately slowly. To go deliberately slowly, yeah, you have to be a little bit erratic in places. Because you have to back off when other people on you don't have all the brakes around the places, but you can't see that. You don't see other maybe braking a bit hard and go a bit slow into the signage. Nicolas can understand the signs, and use drive through. You decided it in 3 laps, otherwise you got another one running for a penalty. And it's now 2.5 seconds between Max Verstappen in the lead of the race and Norris, who is getting closer and closer and closer. And Charles Leclerc gets past George Russell. These hacks. And you can see that how persistent George Russell was at the start of the year and how strong he's been through on the stage. One of his toughest weekends since he joined the team. He feels out of the way. So 56 to 78. Max Verstappen still needs to stop. And in that got Hamilton, who has the one stunt to his name, the one ending as well. It's going to be a glorious 30th patch jumping stick then to Old George. Gets spawned the season, having played the team game really nicely for Racing Box. Yeah, just we see there doesn't seem to be any point where Bill Chico take down the Trotting and well down the order. Just you walk the racing car to give them something of a later in this country. Yes, there's a red flag now. You can make a 3-time change and Stappen with a completed wins. We're going to change to another compound. At least you must use 2 tire compounds, 3 sets across the weekend, give them 2 stopper. But you can change tires, believe me, under a red flag. Here's Hamilton coming into the pits. And there's 1.9 seconds between Verstappen and Norris out front. You sure Leclerc actually having added into that advantage. Remember when it was around 5 seconds, then 1.7. See, that gap down. Just all the pressure he gets humanly applied by the end of the race. And they're going to be line astern in a few laps time. I don't see this stage of the Grand Prix, the drivers would start to be feeling the effects of dehydration and what that does to the body. They start thinking poor decisions, but the pace has been sufficiently controlled that yes, it's still one of the physical races, but I just don't think they're being pushed physically in the way they would have Singapore or places like that. And no, it's not quite the same. But I do think guys at the front and at the third, may have had to work. And listen, it's a boy this crude hair that had been just frustratingly driving second place. But we simply get 3 get sideways, coming area because they might not beat him now because now they're sat in a position that has no more pit stops minus Verstappen. We'll just hang it out and see what happens in this incident. I know this is pretty much because of the nature of this racetrack that we get this extreme strategy of driving forward to help your teammate have it. But just on the basis of it being Formula 1, I don't see something that seems you can't do that. I don't know how you'd enforce it, but this is Formula 1 you just want to imagine the safety driver is in the back to the opportunity to start to finish. So a challenge. The driver's not doing on the edge. What unify is such a spectacle around here. It's why we got just a wish to really qualify, or it was again yesterday. The duration of the longest ever, heaviest ever iteration of Formula 1 does. It's meant one of now in circus, the shortest circuit of the year. It was always difficult to overtake around here, including back in 1972, which Max Verstappen was referring to earlier on the radio. You can have the top three separated by 3 seconds on track and can cover the numbers or by get Max Verstappen. Still needs to dip the second time in the time. I think this is uncomfortable for Norris. There's Bill Cole had his 2 stops, but now Verstappen got hanging out and basically hopes for a red flag at this point. Meanwhile, he's got Leclerc within a second of him. To Deceptic back it up. Slick Norris under real pressure, just for the fun of it. He might do. It will only be for the fan being might to you. And it is some level of excellence to help his race. So, if Leclerc's not there, you go, Norris does the best thing for the Verstappen, really. And here they go in the top 3. Well, he's in the window of having the ball. Norris channel will quicker than the car in front. So, surely Max shouldn't be figuring that out once for the heat of battle. He would have nothing to lose right now by doing that. He's got 20 seconds of buffer back to Hamilton, and that's the last position that he needs to come up here and match to his score. So he's under no pressure in terms of a net loss. The fact that Norris is right behind him, I think that would phase Max at all. Well, Verstappen continuing on. He knows he's going to finish all things being equal. If he has to take that stop from green flag running, he goes, you get it knocked down at 2-4 position. I need to stay with the McLarens. It's going to feature the championship so far this year. That us took the Astrid. Made 4 Grand Prix so far. Lando Norris took the season opener. Charles Leclerc, he knows running at reduced pace anymore. The correction on the exit in the first corner. Sander Boxen, all you need to know. He desperately wants a second home win, and he will do everything he can to try to land that home run. Right, Leclerc has been good on the brakes. Norris, conversely, has no adequate feeling for the McLaren brakes all season, and he's been making a few mistakes. And we saw them on turn 1 brake didn't have that feel for the brakes. Now, when I was speaking to the correspondent like yesterday, Charles was gutted to be second. That's what you want in this position for the race. You want someone in second who is desperate to win, not someone that wants to take second. And that for Charles yesterday. Will he try something on home soil to give us a race? Yeah, and I think he will, because they're taking here to look at the season. It's not a place subject of rival. It's not in the Drivers' World Championship mantle, really. The team market, the Constructors' World Championship, really, I don't think it's cheese breakfast. And winning one of them would be huge. This is the net winning in the race right now. The Stockton is out of it unless there's a red flag. But he has made even Norris' life miserable because Leclerc, and yet it might be hard to overtake them. When you're in the lead and you've got someone out behind you, it doesn't feel that hard to overtake. Maybe besides a Brown, but they've been making a duty. Then the pressure is different then when you've got everything to move. Yeah, do you see London flying the Stearns around there? Also, the Astros flying. 13-7 to him compared to 154. His teammate out front. Now 61 on 78. Your Pfizer can, who the man who won his home race 1 year ago, was absolutely despondent yesterday to miss out on pole position by a tenth of a second, and once with one chance, one opportunity to send it and do itself a second Monaco Grand Prix winner's trophy. You've been listening to Eminem, haven't you? He's looking for it, but we know what the data says. We've been talking about the strategy throughout the Grand Prix. The data says they need a maximum speed advantage over the car in front. Both of these two drivers have been riding absolutely exclusively all weekend long. It's been brilliant to watch from a trackside camera, through an on-site, by an on-board camera as well. It has just been thrilling from these two. Verstappen still needs to get his stop out of the way. He's waiting. He knows it's going to be T4. He's hoping for one of the rookies maybe to have a moment that hits the barrier, that brings out the red flag and gives him a shot win. So don't mess about with that too much. It's also confirming that he's heard the instruction and he will follow it. Yeah, look, it makes complete sense because there'll be 7 points in this race in the remaining laps. If there is an incident, if he gives self that position to Aldi, that could affect his overall chances. So for any of us on the take, I'd reassure it's the travel site, don't worry, I'll do it. So it's been a long race, let's acknowledge that. This whole going slowly to give your teammates 1 and 2, 3 big stops in order to, and we talked about afterwards. Generally, I don't think you could need to see. You don't want to see this. It's a kind of empty Formula One that goes slow to have your teammate. Then is to be expected on a circuit like this. What it has done, somehow through it all, whether it's the wall or what. Now we've got a race. We have 15 laps to go. We're on board with a guy that's due to finish second. He's within a second of the race leader. So I don't know if I'm trying to. Too much. I'm thinking this one up too much. No, I think, look, it's just thinking. Cheetos race up has been more of a chess field than anything else. Well, big chess. You sacrifice some of your what you told me that you tell it over there. DC thank you out shit. You tell my chess player. You sacrifice some of your visits to play the longer game. So the outs or the chess players out there with their lovely kisses, they will be enjoying the strategic element. Amanda Norris won the opening Grand Prix of the year in Melbourne by less than a second across the line. Partner here, he's got his mum here, he's got his dad here. They've been voting to check off the laps. The uncomfortable thing is that the home hero with a V6 turbocharged Ferrari is right there. And it's one thing to have a race in your own country. It's another thing to go in fast landmarks all the way around, like the bus stop that you waited before you went to school with. You've got friends watching at the new Belgian packet with a banner with his name at it. This place is Charlotte Leclerc's home in a minute. He has charge of landmarks all the way around the lap. It's meant that ever since he's come here in every individual championship, he has got the driver who is cool, collected, and masterfully quick over 1 lap on the Grand Prix winner. So logically needing to exact everything. In Formula 2, he had a certain pit stop. Came out of the pitch, you're meant to bring the tyres in slowly. You did a left and was 5 seconds faster than anyone else. Charles Leclerc in Monaco, it's personal in a way that no one else in the field has when it comes to their home race. He's 6 tenths off the back of, second place. And so Norris has decided at this point, he doesn't want to sit behind Max. Sit behind Max in these thirds, and it means pressure. Maybe it's slight inconsistency. You can't judge what's going to happen ahead. So he wants to just give Max that bit of breathing space and focus on one thing alone, keeping that Ferrari away from easily a win. But here he is, he's close. And this is to, even if you think you can clear out over your car, the quicker it needs to be, it's just pressure. It's 13 laps to the end of the Monaco Grand Prix. Yeah, and he's got been driving like this, he's getting the gap to the Stanton towards the dimensions. It brings Piastri into the game, although they're all actually, so there is a slight gap for Piastri to the player. It seems to have settled just over 3 seconds. Yeah, Verstappen, then Norris, then Charles Leclerc. See Charles Leclerc trying to save pace, then closer. He's going to hurry in the he's going to do absolutely everything. And on board with the driver. I'll just strike the word I used. Replacement halted to be to win, wasn't it? Right. Still. But it's a desperation because he's got so much of his backstory involved in these traits, and he's got so many emotional memories. He's just desperate to do it for his team, for his family, for his friends. The data says that you've got to have 3 seconds a lap faster the car in front, which means the enormous for a clean overtake, you're looking to a mistake. You're looking to induce a mistake from the car in front. That's what he's trying to do right now. Well, to lead Green, yes, Senna can make a mistake. We'll lead into the Grand Prix constantly. Then, as we said, in Paddy Watson proved these drivers can make a mistake. Mercedes have fitted George Russell, set the back, and for all the frustration, Antonelli has just done the same thing as Albon. I don't know if he's been braking erratically, but he has certainly been dropping away and done exactly the same strategy as many of the midfield have done. And Williams got the cooler as well. Yeah, so that's a instruction that colour sign said he was going to heat. We've had Russell make the stop. You can answer that he's run out there on the hard side throughout. And it's Snowden getting closer and closer and closer to the back. One of his teammates, and he will get the T9. Williams given the strength of the car and saving points of the weekend. Quite a bit holding to a bit more. Their focus is entirely on 2026. Devon did say in the press conference earlier this weekend, they are still trying to simulate the sections of this year. We haven't tried out the 26 star in the simulator yet. They'll get to that in the second half of the year. They have been surprised at how effectively that Williams has worked throughout this season, not just at the tracks they expected, like at Miami, but also at the faster tracks, like Imola, where we ran and last time out. Got the plan, got it down. A half a second coming into mirror, very stretched out to 7/10 of a second. When you're behind the wheel at this point, it just looking for any weakness, you're looking for any hint of any possibility where there might be a chance. Exactly that. But as we know and as we've seen, then you can dictate the pace out front as we already see it. Just a fixed touch. I think Oscar really had something this weekend in terms of just kissing the daddy. Got away with it twice in the Grand Prix. I can't think of any he's not hit. He's added 2 more in the Grand Prix. He had 1 in qualifying good name Rascats. Did his front wing on Friday at Santa Claus as well. There was a capture in the newspaper after I managed to crash my medium and athlete into the inside of the pit wall. They did the capture in the newspaper showing him when I recovered all that night. I crashed the car into the gate of my house. Did anybody say? With the little to get out the centers up the hill. The mechanical grins of that Ferrari is superb. The closest he can get is 3/10 to a second left. Just a reminder, Paul Max Verstappen has to stop again. He can stretch this out as more as possible. Wait to give it very and it's long 3. To do so and make that gap, you can see the gap he's got over Lewis Hamilton, so we can stretch that all the way to the end in a race. And so, Lando Norris must be continuing to please have a simple victory at some point this season. Chased all the way home in the wind and the dry against Melbourne. One of his greatest days, his entire night to be a few laps away. He's got the reigning world champion waiting and waiting and waiting all the while. And he's got that home Daryl hustling and harrying 5-10 meters away. You can see the back end of Alpha Crowden is a little bit on edge. You can also see the dollars. It's leaving basically a bigger gap in the value of the he's trying to win this clearly, but in doing so, he's driving a slightly different line, leaving more space. And he's pushing up to the back of the stock bit again, which is meaning that he's still sliding around and he's finding the dirty air. With 10 laps to go, I think the third thinking this is it. I'm just going to give it everything and try and force the mistakes for the driver ahead. It's not to think about the Drivers' Championship. He's 5th in the points, but in all honesty, Ferrari have struggled when you have different types of corner and a circuit. And whenever you have to compromise the setup of the car, they haven't been able to live with Mercedes, with Red Bull, with Max Verstappen, and the McLaren leading the Constructors' Championship. And as a result, is Charles Leclerc's best opportunity for a win all year long. He's always good at the street circuits, but this is the one that he wants the most. Yeah, and this could well be the opportunity. We saw the radio message there from the starter. Cities, let's say tires and so on. So one eye on the pit box, you see a Red Bull responding, because the more he backs off, the hell, you just to see of that Lando, then the more pressure Lando does there, and Charles is going to be his opportunity to see this. But the Red Bull mutters up to keep backs out and hope for a red flag at this point, in which case he's in contention, he's there. So there's any one of these 3 can win this race. Norris did the best position. If anything happens, there's a red flag, Verstappen will win. Leclerc's got to make the overtake, and then he can win. You make it so simple. It's so simple, but there's something at stake at the end of this one. Yeah, no, it's real. We are having had this whole build, which is after the case here in Monaco. Where excuse not too far away. 2.1 seconds. It's come down from 7, but it shows you that Lando Norris is not comfortable right now. What a top 3 this is. Different types of race, all 3 of them. But about him might be on for his first ever Monaco Grand Prix victory. He's not comfortable as we head onto the 71st lap in the race. And it's different turning way up the road from Lando trying to pass the 10th place or 12th place. Thank you. There's a race winner if the successful lunge is made here. But I don't know. It's going to have to be. You do not lunge. There's a race winner or not. It's big. Big indeed. Charles, it just seems that McLaren is quickly to be. I don't like it beautifully. Those mistakes other than Blofeld into the first corner. Charles has some good at that test. Yes, sure that is with that start of Ferrari. Yes, he got down consistently to 3/10 of a second. He's taking a slightly different line, slightly wider line. The Lando Norris who matched the corner as Russell done in to complete his second stop. I think Lando's actually pick him up and lift him in because it's difficult to pass at Mercedes. But by doing that, it means that Lando can put flat out in the handbeam stick and make sure there's a gap at the tunnel. And it allows him to keep focus with no corner. So he doesn't want to get too close to Max. He has to go slow at some point then, and I think it's the first sector there where he's just trying to drop away at a section where it's not must be able to take. This is not comfortable for Charles Leclerc. Getting very, very, very close to the pack now. He's running on limits behind. Genevieve engineer, keeping the drive drop the keyboard over. Just actually brushed. Yes, it gets a big up close and tussle to Lando and Charles. That's going to bring it here for the win. We're on board with Charles Leclerc. It's very close to Lando Norris. You can find a sector in the racetrack. Majority, this is where you are highlighting the Jones too hard to do the gap. Yeah, so he backs up and there's two been there to give himself the gap. And I had smacked out. He doesn't want to be compromised through these corners. Thinking the best out of taking jumps is the chicane after the tunnel. So I will narrow that gap. There was 1.5 seconds. It'll be less than that to Verstappen as they come through the tunnel there. Just straight in the out of sight distance. It gets close to getting the final second. In 2019, Leclerc made 1 or 2 really overtake the bus to Brescia. He did. He then had a crash. There we go. There we go. He was driving angry because Ferrari put him out in the rump up in package of elimination in Q1. This is the circuit that he decides to do where that's so much more than all of these lights has been nicked around these streets. He threw up a few blocks away from where we are. A few streets over. He's in the wheel tracks, and if Lando Norris is going to win this race, he's going to make him sweat all the way to the checkered flag. That is the aim. And Lando Norris do what he did in Melbourne and resist the pressure. So not got time to keep concentration up as well. Yeah, you have 73 laps of just going round. Absorbing pressure right at the end of it. And there's a weird thing. There's something is in there across the border up 19 quarters. So keeping your concentration is just so critical. Foster doesn't need to take a risk. It's not his best team, he finishes 3rd. But it's not a bad team for the championship either. So the one that leads, and shouldn't take the risk against Charles. I think if you're 2nd or 3rd, you're still spraying some fizz and doesn't remember the top target. It's just about his stripes. It's been a while. We'll stay next week. The only prediction we can say, remember, it should play the champion. And those were the last couple of laps. Man, I think we've summarized it nicely across the last 20 minutes or so for you, because the reality is that while we've seen tactics that go slow and it's all come down to strategy, we've talked about that. At the end, when Verstappen made his mandatory second stop, it's going to be flat out to try and win the Monaco Grand Prix, and if Charles Leclerc takes 2 in a run, you're about to see one of the more dramatic finishes in this race's history, because it would be something special to take on track and win your own race. Fastest when you need this goal. Lando Norris also with his first ever Monaco Grand Prix. The aspiration that all will be racing at one. Yeah. start the sound. Look for that time on weekend long. Charlotte Leclerc beginning to believe because he's been downplaying his opportunities all he did soon. But maybe now he thinks he's got a chance. Let's watch the car in the air. And yes, look, that's a big slice through this corner. We got that slow-mo shot that Max beautifully through turning up. Yeah, hitting a bit more of the margin than he seems himself. Chetri Bezos school of the and he emerged and finished along with everyone else. Those blinding these two famous miles. And the points occupied by the two Williams. They shot and Alex Albon is in 9th position. It will be the first point of the season for Liam Lawson, the third scorer in the Grand Prix tonight this year. Here, Ocon Chachard will score a best ever in Formula 1, and then it's Hamilton in 5th, and then we will see Max Verstappen make his stop, drop to 4th, we'll see a red flag, and we'll see Max Verstappen change tyres and win the race. So realistically, the last battle to be decided, is it London? Is it Charles? Does it go all the way to the end? You can see the attitude of that Ferrari car. It's moving around on the rear end. Leclerc's desperate as a Broughton out of the corners. He's hustling all the way into the corners, in the dirty air behind the McLaren, just to get a sniff of an opportunity. So coming up 5-1-8. Your boys not far away here. The new belt chicane. You've got to be so close coming out of the tunnel to force your way to the apex of that corner. Look at how close it gets to back where you are getting the dirty air. This is the Smithing team section. He's so close. Look at this. The net top 3 in the Grand Prix. And Norris does enough. By the time we get to Raskas and Nancy knows corner, the last one on the racetrack. We're going to go on to Act 76. We have done so. 3 to go in Monaco. Yeah, you can see what he's thinking. You can tell he's got into position, especially for the entrance to Raskas. 8 in the seat. Time to make Charles is positioning himself there. But Anders just needs to keep him raced on all we can. Driving brilliantly. Not making any mistakes. And the strong loses. He's able to pick up his own pace there in the first sector, Lando. See the attitude of the McLaren and it's on at him a bit more. He's looking something 2 seconds after to his Verstappen. He's now helping that back up and get on the tail and the Red Bull, who still must pit. Chances low safety is coming on, leaving it to their head. Charles video. McLaren from Lapian 60. Very quickly, Charles find it. Yeah, that outside the fish. So there's a really back there again. Right, this house get it by a bit at the end or page 48 seconds. Hamilton wanting the information where he is. 38 denied again, 5th position. Max Verstappen staying out there for as long as possible. And on to lap 77 to 78 we go. Penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. So there's one more lap. That he has to come in at the end of this one. That should be a bit of a release to London, at least as the text is happening out of any detection that brought in. But he then doesn't have to worry about just trying to get behind the ramp. He goes, he's sucking into these guys to make it a pretty spicy end to the race. Verstappen at Norris, Leclerc, Piastri and Hamilton. Patrick Dempsey is awaiting this jackal of Charles. That will soon hand a new race leader. Max Verstappen, according to the rules introduced this weekend, has to come into the pits. And can Charles Leclerc provide this Grand Prix with something rarely seen? Lando Norris over the curb, trying to get the best possible exit. If you're not for the race, Max Verstappen has to come into the pits as per the regulation. And Lando Norris will retake the lead on the last lap. Hubo to check off those 2 laps with his 2nd Grand Prix of the year. And he's first in Monaco, in Max Verstappen. If you drop down to 4th in the order, here's the slot. Norris lead, Leclerc 2nd, Piastri in 3rd. Piastri will hang on to the championship lead, even though he's about to lose 10 points. Does Charles Leclerc have anything in the final lap of the Grand Prix to worry Lando Norris, or is it going to be one of the most satisfying days in this span story? It looks like Lando has bolted fastest first sector of the race. For Norris, on the final one. He got the bottle stuff, stood back for Norris when he needed it. Under pressure by the nature of this mandatory two-stop. And Norris will be chipping off the corners now. And they are iconic corners as he makes his rally to the new chicane. He hears the horns in the harbour, heralding his win, chased all the way by Charles Leclerc. But when Max Verstappen pitches, he took the lead on the final lap, a lead that he had earned all the way through. And every driver dreams of this year, leading the Monaco Grand Prix in the last lap. One join the legendary winners of this race. Lando Norris wins the Monaco Grand Prix. He wins the race by 3.1 seconds. The second podium up was Charles Leclerc. Third position, Oscar Piastri, who comes across the line to secure the podium. Congratulations to the Norris family, to the Clark, as it's Jim Adams. After a year with doubters, he put up with the doubting. He said he never did. It was just frustration, and he's shown the world what he can do today. He's second win of the year, and most importantly for him, he's first on the streets of Monaco. But he did have to work for it. He did, and he put in the bars after the race on the final lap as well to show how good he's been this weekend. Oh, yesterday was really a lot of the magic, and then having to absorb the pressure there. It's obviously quite easy. Reality, and I actually just picking up what you said, Julian, getting that fastest lap at the end, that's class. It showed that what I was thinking is, the pressure is